Do you have a dream but afraid to take the first step? Then you're in the right place. Today, we're going to talk about what is the number one reason why people are afraid to take the first step. Welcome to the day 9 of the 10-day series of how to live your hero's journey. I'm Paisute. I've lived through multiple hero's journey, from migrating to a new country that I'd never been before to become a registered pharmacist. I started up a foodies network without any business or industry experience, and I written my first philosophical book on 30 of life's biggest questions, and I'm also a coach. In order for you to live your hero's journey, first you must have a sense of direction of where to go. I created a free, unique strength discovery guide where you can gain a clarity of what your next possible career path could be. You can download that for free on my website at www.pheh-szeh-teh.com, or you can check at the link on the description below. So, what is the number one reason why people are afraid to start? Are you ready for this? Well, it is the fear of the unknown. Most of us prefer to be stuck in the misery of the comfortable life or a known misery than to venture out to the unknown. There are many ways this fear of unknown might creep up in different people. So, one of the ways that it creep up for me is in the form of perfectionism. Have you ever started a project and you feel that you need to figure every single thing out? You got to make sure everything is right before you launch, before you submit your report, and you just feel like you need more time in order to do it. I remember when I first started, I agonized on the little details that don't really matter. For example, the font size, the color, the layout, anything that you could think of that's not going to make a major difference at the end of the day, because the only way you can really know whether your idea takes off or not is by exposing that to the world, and you're going to get a response, and from the response then you can do something about it. But by agonizing of every single details and not putting out there, it's all in your mind, and there's no way you're going to know whether it works or not. And another reason it comes up as is that you feel the need to figure every single thing out before you can start. You need to know the process from start to finish before you can start. If you are venturing out to an unknown world, there's no way you are going to figure everything out. All you need to know in the beginning is to know why you're doing what you're doing and what is your vision and your North Star. And these are the one that's going to give you the guide of to know whether you're on the right path or not. But the exact path might reveal itself as it comes. So, for example, if you're driving at night, the visibility only can show you to a certain distance, and it's only by moving forward you can see further. But if you're at a standstill, you are not going to move anywhere and you're going to stay where you are. So, the only way you can really know what to do next is by taking the next step. I do agree you need to have a certain plan, but you don't have to have all the plan ready to start. And sometimes your plan or whatever you plan may not work out the way you want it to work out. In a lot of startup, the original idea didn't come out as the end of the result. So for example, like a lot of business start out as something else and they have pivot and they found out, oh, actually the customer responds differently to my idea and I should do this instead. But how do they know? they have to launch. That's the only way you know. And sometimes I know that it can be very overwhelming when you want to start something new. There's so many factors that you have to think of as well. So, the easiest way of tackling this problem of starting, obviously, you have to take action. So, that's one, you have to face your fear and you have to take action. I find that the best and most practical way to conquer your fear is first by exposing them. You can't treat a problem without knowing what are the symptoms. This is more like a pharmacy term speaking, right? So for you to treat something first, you got to know what are the symptoms. So how does your fear come up? So write down all the fears that you have about starting, whether you fear that you don't know what to do. So what is it that you don't know what to do? You have fear that you don't have the money. So just write them down. So whatever fear you have, or you fear that people might judge you, whatever it is, or I fear that the idea might not go to work. So write down all your fears in a piece of paper. So make them visible first. So shine a light on all your fear. And I always like to do this when I'm stressed or when I'm feeling very fearful. I write down every single thing that I could think of that I'm afraid of. So, and then I look at what each of them and I look at them and think, what are the worst case scenario? What are the worst case scenario? And can I live with that? If the answer is yes, then you move on to the next step. So when you know exactly what's your problem, then you can solve it. So for example, it could be financial that you're worried of. So figure out how much is it that you need and how much are you willing to lose, because everything has a sunk cost. So how much are you willing to pay for your next project or for your next career, whatever that you wish to do, what your dream may be. Figure out exactly what it is, and then you can have a plan on how to solve the problem. So if it's a set of belief, how can you counter those set of belief? And do you know if the idea works or not? Find out. How can I test the idea? How can I validate the idea and create a hypothesis? So if that doesn't work, then what do I do next? So firstly, by knowing what your fears, then you can shine a light. The other thing what you can do is to figure out why you want to do the things that you want to do. Because without knowing the why, you don't have a North Star to point you to the right direction. Sometimes you might get lost along the way, and then the North Star will point you to the right direction. So figure out why you want to do, and why is it so important to you, and why. So by figuring out the why, you can always figure out the how. So for example, you need funding, then you can figure out, how do I figure out to get funding? So always ask the right question to solve your problem. Don't just have a statement, oh, I'm afraid because I don't have the money. It's a very general statement. For example, I don't know what to do. So what is it that you need to do, and how? The question how is also very powerful. How and where can I get those information? How can I be more courageous? How can I be more committed? So ask yourself the right question. By asking yourself the right question, then you know where to find those solutions. So tell me, what are the main fear that's stopping you from taking the first step? And what are the actions that you are going to take? I hope that this session has been useful for you. If you have any questions and you're listening live right now, you can ask me a question now if you like, or else you can always leave your comment down below and I can answer to you as soon as possible. We are almost towards the end of the 10-day series of how to live your hero's journey. And I have a very exciting announcement to make on the last day. So make sure you stay tuned tomorrow, which is the end of a 10-day series. It has been a great experience for me, and I like that how I've been consistent, and that's how you build your confidence as well, by sticking to the process and taking step by step. And that's the only way that you can conquer all your fear, is by taking action. If you don't have any questions for me today, I will see you tomorrow, and make sure you download your free guide, and I have all the information in my description below. Until I see you tomorrow, live a life worth writing about.